See this? My New Year's necklace.
Yeah, your Life Alert bracelet. I haven't seen it in a while.
Yep. Yep.
Was that the
It's
same?
his time. Let's bring this up here. Let's let it hang shallow. There we go.
Mm. So this is we're live, and so this is the first new live stream of 2023. I'm excited. It's going to be a really exciting year for Masonic improvement in Freemasonry in Texas and Freemasonry in general. What do you think, Dennis? You
Yes,
agree
it
with me?
is.
Good.
Yes,
And
yes, it is.
if you are a member of Masonic Improvement, you have access to Dennis and I. We did a planning episode, planning the year out. So if you want a sneak peek on to kind of what our plans are for the year and what's upcoming, definitely check it out. It's worthwhile.
And if you're a member, we might just be able to break the news early.
Break the news early. Oh,
Yeah. Like tell the members like a week before Grand Lodge or right before we head up to Grand Lodge, so they don't have to wait until post.
You know what? We should do that. We should do a little pregame. So Red Raiders here. Good evening and happy New Year's.
Hey,
welcome, Red Raider.
Happy New Year.
We missed
Glad
you last time.
You.
Glad to have you.
Yes, I can't believe you left us high and dry with Brother Fluff. Man,
Scott Bratson,
we could have used.
Brother? Just a reminder, Scott Bratson is a member, so he definitely appreciate you jumping in, Scott.
Scott, give us your email address so that we can get a hold of you.
Scott, you don't have to send it here if you don't want to. Message us message Dennis or me, or send it to us on Masonic Improvement. Send us your email address. YouTube doesn't give us a way to contact our members directly, so if you'll give us your email address, that way when things are upcoming or we have special deals that we're just kind of want to keep on a down low, then we can just send it to you. Red Raider says, I do need to become a member. Red Raider, anytime, man. Anytime. Here, I'll even post a link for you, bro. Well,
we'll make it as easy as York right for you. How's that?
It is tiered, so
actually it's easier. It is a little easier than York right. Just kidding.
I like so I've been uploading. This isn't a whole conversation tonight, but just since we're already talking about it, I've been uploading all of the new videos to members only, just ad free. So I was thinking about it. Say, man, if I was just wanting to just listen, say like I'm driving in a car or something, and I just want to be able to listen to the episodes, it's well worth it just for that, just to not. Have
that's what I do.
Ads, because there's no interruptions.
That's what I do.
That's what you do? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's well worth it. Here, my internet's being slow.
Like on the way to Grand Lodge.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, brothers, have some stuff to talk about when you get up there.
Yeah.
If you want to really get in the view of everybody up in Grand Lodge, just talk about what we're talking about. That'll definitely put you in the sights of people in Grand Lodge.
For better or worse. But
for better or worse.
So here is a link for the membership program.
Cool. Brothers, while he's doing that, you see my backdrop. I did this in celebration of our worldwide internet experience that's going on with Masonic Improvement. We've got brothers in Australia, England, even Pakistan, of course, Mexico, and all around North America and Canada. It's growing. It's looking good.
Scott says, happy to be here with the Hellspawn of Hillsboro and the Ghoul of Goliad.
Ghoul of Goliad.
He definitely has the
the
resemblance. So
I got the eyes.
The Ghoul of Goliad. Just letting everybody know. We got
the 12... Ghoul of Goliad. Is that what he said?
The Ghoul, yeah.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
We have 12 viewers right now, but one like.
There's no skulls in Masonry.
Just throwing this out real quick. If everybody that's listening would pop us a like real quick, just smash that like button. That way the algorithm will push us out to more people, help bring in more audience. I would definitely appreciate that from everybody. Dan Best says hello and Happy New Year's to everybody. Happy New Year's, Dan.
Hey, Happy New Year's, Dan.
Adam Olivier, another member, says
Hey,
howdy, brethren.
Adam.
Always good to see you and hear from you, Adam.
Glad to see you. Yes. I was telling people the other day, or maybe it was just in one of our shows or something that I think it was when Fluff was here. I said, it's just like people coming into my home. Whenever we do this, it's like inviting people into my home, and these brothers that are showing up every week, are especially the members that are just every week they're here, and then other brothers, of course, that are very supportive that haven't become full members yet. Mm-hmm. They're here every week, and that's just awesome. I really enjoy it, and I'm grateful to you guys.
It's always great to see familiar faces when you hop on every time.
Yeah, and it helps us keep our conversations in perspective too, because we have such a wide range of listeners.
Adam, we were telling Scott this earlier. Adam Olivier, if you will message either Dennis or me or just Masonic Improvement directly, give us your email address. That way, when we're sending out things just for members, YouTube doesn't provide that information for us. So if you'll just send us your email address, that way, anytime we need to send members only, we would definitely appreciate it. Scott, I thought you've been to a live before. Scott says it's the first time I'm able to join live. I thought you've been to.
Nice.
I thought
Very
Scott's
cool.
been to a live. I guess I'm wishful thinking, but glad to have you if this is your first time for sure.
Yes, very cool. Glad you're here. Thank you. And if any of y'all have questions as we go along, as always, feel free to jump in, throw in your requests and stuff. Also, guys, brothers, with your memberships, with those email addresses, it'll give us an opportunity to send you a link if we decide we want to special invite you to a live.
Yeah.
Those may not be pre thought out or determined and giving you notice or anything. It may be something you may just say, well, I'm coming on the live and looky here, I've got this email. Yep. So it may be a surprise live thing that we just throw it out there to you.
Yeah.
And let you come on with us.
We just don't have an easy way
if you want to.
Of directly contacting the members, so that would be helpful.
Right.
Carl Aubenschein. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your last name, Carl. Says hello. A newcomer.
Hey, Carl.
I've never seen him before. Seth Spangler. I don't know.
That's a goofy name.
It sounds kind of.
I don't know.
Sounds kind of like him. But he says, "Who is going to GL? What is GL? I don't know. Georgia Line.
Hey, I'd go there.
The Georgia Line.
I'd go there. Yeah, as long as Florida's close by. I mean,
Grand Lodge.
The Georgia Line is a great place to be.
Dan Best says, "I am not a Freemason yet. Am I allowed to be here?" Absolutely, Dan. There's
yes,
no
you
way,
are.
No way.
Yes, you are.
There's nothing to stop you, and we are happy to answer any questions. That's what this is all about. So.
And we got lots of people here that can help answer those questions as well. So anything that you post, whether it's on the YouTube or Facebook, if any of our brothers that who we are, you know us specifically from being in lodge together. If any of y'all jump in and want to answer a question for a brother online or something, if we're tied up in another conversation, feel free to do that. If there's a quick answer to something for somebody, and then once we get done, then we can go back and revisit that, But to help things roll along, I mean, if you want to help us out, that'd be great because we know that you know us and our values and our beliefs. So members and brothers who truly know us and have sat in lodge with us or whatever, then feel free. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Raider says, what event are you looking forward to most this year?
Well, that's a tough one.
It's not a tough one. I just can't tell you what it is right now.
I'll tell you. Guess what, Red? If you're a member, you'll know before the rest of the public.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Immediately, the most, the highest thing on my list right now is Grand Lodge. Going to Grand Lodge. That's what's top of my list right now. I'm going to Grand Lodge. And then
that's number 2 for me right now.
Well, It's number one right now, just because it's in my face, because it's coming up. But then after that,
that's because you're not going to. That's because you're not going to Perfect Union. I'm just saying. Just saying.
Yeah.
Now I'll be in Perfect Union on this weekend with their big deal that that's going to be pretty cool, and I'll be selling swag there, brother. So
I'd really like to go, but there's
I know. I'm just fucking. But I'm just messing with.
But come September,
whew,
that's the.
Do not make any other plans, brothers.
That's the number one I'm looking for.
Yes, and I want to tell in all honesty, I want to say, Master Mason brothers, I hate to be this way. However, in this situation, I want Master Masons that are that I want Master Masons to have something to do with this big announcement. And we love you, fellow crafts and interdifferences. We love you. You're Masons, but you're not masters yet. And so I want anybody to be able to talk freely whenever we get together. So
that's fair.
There's some foreshadowing.
Yeah,
there's some foreshadowing. Foreshadowing.
I'm gonna take the mic away from you, but there is something. I know. There's something big coming up, so stay tuned, and that's all we'll say about that. I'm so
excited. You see me vibrating? I'm so excited.
Yeah, please don't vibrate. Please don't vibrate, Dennis. We've talked about that. So what?
Hey,
what?
You didn't upload that deal that I uploaded to. I sent you a link on the email you sent with the Zoom meeting. I sent you a link.
Okay.
I did a special New Year's Day short clip. And yep. And
well, you want me to upload it?
Yeah, or play it right now.
Well, I'll upload it. I'll get it uploaded. I didn't see you send it.
But it's basically just a thank you for the year, and it's been a great year.
It has.
And I played Old Lang Syne on there, even though it's not very great because of the audio video. I need to get some more recording equipment for my house for that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
All my recording equipment's for this stuff. It's not for that stuff. I need to do that.
So, let's talk about what we kind of brought up earlier with our conversation. Devin McLean, welcome, Devin. Glad to have you, bro.
Hey, Devin, how are you?
Devin McLean, another member.
All right.
He's another member of ours. Glad to have you, brother.
Devin, message us and give us your email address, whether it's to one of us or the Masonic Improvement Messenger. Send us your email.
Yeah.
One of the things we'll be doing this year is during these lives, from time to time, we'll just send a link to a member to join in on the live on Zoom. And so we're not going to tell anybody when we're going to do it. We're just going to throw it out there before we launch our live. And that's going to be one of our
Spangler says
things for members.
Let's talk about it. I don't know what it is, Seth. What are you talking about, Seth?
What is it?
What is
it? What is it?
But in between comments as they come up or questions, I feel as though, and I know we have quite a bit of time at this point, which is part of the reason I wanted to start diving into conversations. Adam says, "What is going on in September?" Well, so Adam, it's a secret, but you will be.
Adam, you're a member. You'll know first.
Yeah, you'll be one of the first to find out. You're a member, but as of right now, it's a secret.
And all of our members have first dibs. First dibs.
Yeah, first dibs.
First dibs. No matter what.
Seth says he wants to know what we're going to talk about. Okay, so we're well. I want to stay ahead of the game.
Be patient, Seth.
I want to talk about officer elections because we kind of let it sneak up on us, and it is such a crucial aspect of the day-to-day workings of our Masonic lodges, and yet we are making mistakes
left and right.
Yes, with our leadership decisions, and so on and so forth. So I really want to hit on a few things because I want the brothers that are listening to start being mindful and start looking at their officer line and really determine, I'm just going to be blunt with everybody, and really determine if their officer line is where it needs to be and if their upcoming leadership is where they need to be. Because while we do have a progressive line and there is merit in a progressive line, that doesn't mean the progressive line takes precedence over merit. And what I mean by that,
we are a merit fraternity.
Yes, is that the most capable and the most qualified men are the ones that should be in leadership positions in our Masonic Lodge. And we shouldn't put people in the East or any of the chairs because it is their turn, or just because they're old and we feel like
because they just joined and you don't know what to do with them, so you throw them in the line.
Yeah,
don't do that.
Don't do that.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And this is actually spurred by a conversation that I had with a he's a worship master of a lodge who's been a master mason less than 2 years, and it's not going well for the lodge, and so there's no reason that this should happen. And this is not like an isolated incident. Lots of lodges are doing things like this. So we do kind of have a nice fail-safe in that you have to be qualified by your district instructor to go to it.
Yeah, but that's chairs.
It's not.
That's not qualified to lead.
Well, here's the thing.
That's just qualified to state the ritual.
Yes, well, there's a few issues with it, right? Because first of all, there's a cop-out. You can go to a forum, which I had people do that. I had people, because I'm a district instructor of one of my districts, and I had people come out and they just went to the forum because they would not or could not memorize the work. That's one thing. Another thing is you have other districts, and I'm not saying this happens, but it probably does, where the district instructor is very lenient on the proficiency of the brothers. And that's not to say I'm totally strict about it, but
if you don't know the work, I'm sorry, but if you don't know the work, you don't care about your position.
Yeah.
You don't know how easy it is to simply open and close meetings and to run your meetings effectively, you don't care about that position if you don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. It's too easy to do to not do it.
You can tell after a few meetings with the brethren as you're working on their proficiency if they have it or not. Right? Like if they're ready to turn it in and they mess up a few times, but I've seen that they've done it right plenty of times before that.
Right.
I'm fine with that, but I know that there are probably districts where there are people that have no idea what they're doing, and the district instructor is just allowing it.
Yeah, a word here or there is no big deal. We all let it. It all comes out our tail when we get up in the East, right? That's the big joke. Once you sit down in that chair, it just goes out your tail. But the reality is,
here's the other catch, though.
Go ahead.
Just because you can open, okay.
I think it both goes together.
It does. Just because you can open and close a lodge doesn't necessarily mean that you're a good leader, right?
Mm-mm.
However, that said, I have seen worship masters that are excellent leaders, but can't open and close the lodge, and their meetings suck. Because how well you open and close sets the tone for the entire meeting. So my point is, it doesn't matter how good of a leader you are if you can't open and close your lodge.
And that's the thing, is that the opening and closing ritual is specific to get you. Okay, so you brothers have heard about meditation and this and that, and you meditate to prepare your mind for whatever task it is that you want to behold, right? And one of the most important lessons that we learn is that there's always reference above for us when all else fails, right? And so the whole idea of that ritual is to get the lodge focused on what the job is at the moment, what you're doing, and bring everybody in, draw everybody in, and prepare them for work. So if you can't do that as a master of a lodge, get out of there.
So real quick, we got 13 viewers. If each of y'all would please be sure you like this stream.
Absolutely.
Smash the like button. Again, it helps with the algorithm, helps us to get out there in front of more people. Would definitely appreciate that. But backtracking back to what we were talking about, That applies to everything. That applies to all the officers. Senior warden, junior warden. If they can't do the job,
and
it's a big problem.
Yeah. The basic officers that it takes for each one of the lodges, and we should be proficient in each one of the lodges, and the number of people in each one of those lodges, they should be proficient in their job. Mm-hmm. And go ahead. I'll let you continue on because I got another thought about all the officers of the lodge
I'll also say
that we need to.
I'll also say, as a lodge, you need to be putting your senior officers through OLT, and not optional, right? Not optional. Like, it's not optional to either go to a forum or to learn your work, right? It should also not be optional if you want to be in leadership position in your lodge. You're going to officer leadership training, right? Yeah. Because there's a lot of value to be had there. And it's not a 1 year thing. It's not, I went and I got
you can't. Yeah, checked. You can't.
Because you can't hear everything that there is. You can't hear everything there is.
There's just too much.
There's too much. And there's value in going more than once. I went to most officer. I think I went to all of them actually this year. Maybe I didn't go to one. I think I went to all of them though. But every time I went, there was something else to go listen to. There was something else to learn, and that's going to all of them all year long. So don't say going two
and there's still more.
There's still more.
Yeah, I've been doing it for years. After I went through it all, and then volunteered for years after that to every one of them.
Yeah,
my wife and I traveled to for free. For not on the Grand Lodge's dime, and helped out because there's just so much to learn.
Yeah, and your lodge should be paying for it.
Yes, the
lodge should be paying for it. The lodge should be investing in its officers. It should be investing in leadership.
If they were investing in themselves, they could afford to, right?
Yeah.
If they would, but the thing is that you can't send somebody somewhere and tell them, okay, and this is our biggest problem. We can't send somebody somewhere or teach them something and say that's all there is. You just can't do that. You have to have expectations in what you're doing. So you send them there with the expectation of, man, we got things we got to do here.
Yeah.
The brothers that went from my lodge this year to OLT, they came back, and I tell you what, man, they're thinking of things that I didn't think about.
I would even say, if you really want to
badass,
if you want to raise the bar, send them to OLT, expecting them to come back and present something that they learned.
Yes, present to the lodge what they learned.
So
have a session for each one, because you have one going to 101 and one going to 201. Have each one of them give some type of a session.
All right, in the chat, CWH says, is it absolutely necessary in your opinion to memorize ritual? What are the pros and cons, and how do you think it relates to leadership? Let me preface this by giving you a story.
They must not have heard what I said earlier.
Well, they may not have. They may have popped in. But I'll preface it with a story. Because I'm in York
and I'll finish with that.
I'm in York and in Blue Lodge. Okay? In Blue Lodge, you are required, at least here in Texas, there's no handbooks or anything when you're opening and closing. It's all from memory. Okay? York, however, there is a book that you can use. It is plain text. And most York use that book. Okay?
And how much worse off are they than the actual Blue Lodges they sit in?
Yes. You can tell if you go to a Blue Lodge meeting and then a York meeting, and they open from memory. Let's say they open perfect from memory, and they open from a book in a York meeting. Which one's going to be more impressive? The Blue Lodge meeting every time, because reading from a book is not impressive. It means you have not internalized any of the lessons that you're talking about. And honestly, I see people reading from a book mess up more often than people reading from just going off memory. Because
that ticks me off more than anything when somebody can't read the words.
Yeah, I hate to be a jerk, but
they never read it.
A lot of brothers can't read for some reason. And I mean, that sucks, I guess. They can't read. But
well, I have a problem if I don't have my glasses, but still,
yeah,
I know enough of it to get through.
So yeah, it is important to memorize your ritual, in my opinion. Does it have to be absolutely word perfect every time? No one. I don't think anyone could ever do that. People always make mistakes, but to the best of your ability.
But you can tell when somebody actually knows it
Yeah.
and made a mistake, or when somebody is just butchering
Absolutely.
and just killing us. Yeah. And like I was saying earlier, CWA, the
CWH.
sorry about that. I'm not looking at the stuff. I apologize. Like I said earlier, the reason for doing the ritual is to prepare yourself to, number one, to prepare yourself to get ready to do whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's hearing somebody's work, whether it's doing an official stated meeting, whether it's doing a presentation, even when it's an open meeting for visitors, you definitely want to be spot on in doing the stuff that you can openly in front of visitors. It's like the funeral. So the funeral is a ritual. That's the only ritual non-Masons will ever see. Mm-hmm. And there's so many people that butcher it, and there we have books that they could just read it from, but they want to, look like they know it all, and then they go and stutter and butcher it instead of just reading it pleasantly and making it a nice send-off for our brother. It's the coming and the going, because once we finish our meeting, whatever it is, we should be taking it out to the world. So we should be preparing ourselves afterwards to take that information that we learn out to the world. So that's I'm very serious about ritual. Now, I'd like to state something.
Hold on real quick before I forget. Okay. How does it look? Because we're an organization that takes EAs, fellowcrafts, and new masters, and we teach them these catechisms, right? This memory work. And we tell them how important it is that they're able to learn it and turn it into the best of their ability, right? Because everything that is taught is supposed to be verbally.
It's in there,
right? From memory.
Yeah.
And then you have this EA or this fellowcraft, and they sit in a Masonic lodge. Hey, Austin White, glad to have you, brother. Another member. Real quick.
Hey,
Austin, message me your email address. That way we can send you information related to memberships. Not saying I have anything to send you right now, but just so I have that database built up. But anyway, back it up. So if you have a Masonic lodge and you have EAs and fellowcrafts visiting, and we've told them how important it is to memorize their work, right? And then they're sitting there, and the worship master or the wardens or one of each or a combination of all of them, they have no clue what they're doing, right? It's just a mess. And you see this a lot. This is not an extreme example where they just have no clue what they're doing, right? What is that really telling these guys? What is that really telling these EAs and fellowcrafts about the importance of memorizing their work?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's you have to.
It's another bait.
You have to live. What's the term I'm looking for? You have to practice what you preach. You have to be the example, right? And if the worship master, who we're all supposed to look at as the example, right, can't even open or close a Masonic lodge, what is that really telling the EA or fellowcraft or whatever?
Agreed. Now, I'd like to let everybody know the whole reason we're talking about this again is because it's 2023. It's a new year. We need to start thinking about elections, installations, all the officers. And I'd like to throw this out there, that right now, we just had our York Rite elections, but we have not finished our Scottish Rite elections. We have not done our AMD elections. We have not done several other elections that are coming, as well as in Grand Lodge. And now Grand Lodge is a whole different animal, and we fully support the person coming in. But we personally do fully support the person coming in, period, hands down, no matter what.
Who said otherwise?
I don't care if he does, but this guy, no, I know he is too. But the thing is that we're fixing to install in the Scottish Rite. So in the Scottish Rite, just so that people realize this, in the Scottish Rite, you have 4 different lodges within the body of the Scottish Rite. You have 4 different bodies. You have oh shit, I'm gonna screw this all up, and I should just be able to rattle it off. But never mind, I'm just gonna leave it at that. We have 4 different bodies, so each one has its own head, its own worshipful master type, venerable master, or whatever you want to call it. And well, it's not whatever you want to call it. They're specific in Scottish Rite, but they all have a master of that lodge, and then the officers, and then they have all these appointed officers. Now, here's something that gets to me in the election and installation of officers. Why in the hell are we appointing people into lodges or into positions of leadership that aren't doing anything for the craft? Why are we doing that? That is the most ignorant thing that we can do. We're just shooting ourselves in the foot. It's just as bad as the Blue Lodge. You know, we have one guy that wears the big rope, you know, at the top, and then nobody else does anything else for the year, it seems like. And then it's left to certain brothers that want to see more out of their Scottish Rite that step up and do it. And the officers are nowhere to be found. I don't see them I don't see them at all the events. I don't see them at all the education events. There should be higher expectations for your line, no matter where it is. Absolutely. It doesn't matter if it's Scottish Rite, York Rite, Blue Lodge, Red Lodge, whatever. Yep. There, you should have a expectation of work and deliverance at the very least.
We have quite a few comments in the chat we're getting kind of behind on, so let's go over these real quick.
Okay, so now I've got across. So because we're this month we are doing Scottish Rite elections, so brothers, keep that in mind when you're doing this. Let it be known that people should. Okay, go ahead, Justin. You act like it's all important because we're live.
Dan Best says, it is my biggest fear with Freemasonry, and that is messing up something. I have terrible memory, and my reading is not all that good. Well, Dan, you're not really, in most cases, reading anything. Not alone. Yeah, you're not really reading anything in most cases in Lodge, with a few exceptions. And as far as memory goes, anyone I think can memorize anything, just given one, enough time, and two, being able to identify how you best learn, right? You can't take a deer and a squirrel and a rabbit and grade them on their ability to climb a tree, right? Because they're all different. So there's different ways to learn the memory work, and you'll have to identify which way works best for you. And I'm not saying that there's different ways outside of traditional, like the mouth to ear, but there's different ways you can approach it, such as the memory palace and things like that. But that's a whole other conversation. Scott Bratson says this is correct. There's a first time for everything, but he didn't say that. I added that part. But you could tell when someone is just filling the hot seat, and absolutely, especially if you've seen them several times trying to open and close. Like a lot of people say it's the hot seat, but you see them do terribly 5 or 6 times. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Devin McClain says,
and to the brother that's concerned about his memory, I have a bad memory too. I talk more than I learn. That's a fact. Everybody knows it, and that's okay. I have my strengths, but I have my strengths.
I got a crick in my neck.
Yeah, we leveled up when Dennis came on board. I'm just saying.
So Devin McClain says there's definitely something wrong when a big portion of Masons' expectations are not being met, either upon joining or going to degrees. I don't know if that's on them or the way education is set up. Devin, you're going to start something.
It's on the Lodge.
You're going to, because
it is never the newcomer.
Yeah, it's not the newcomer's fault. But no,
it is never.
Dennis and I have talked about this at length, and we still can talk about it at length.
Get me worked up. Check
out my video. Or it's not my videos, our video.
Listen to him. It's all about him.
What was it? You know which one I'm talking about?
I don't even know anymore. I don't want to know.
Anyway.
You lost me.
I can't even think because he won't stop talking long enough for me to have a thought. Look through some of the older, more recent videos. Oh, dang it. What is it? What's that? Dang it. It's totally just slipping my mind. When you promise something and offer something else, Dennis?
Oh, bait and switch?
Yeah. The video, bait and switch. There's a video called Bait and Switch.
That was a good one. That was a good video.
It was a really good one. If you haven't checked it out,
listen to the podcast.
Yeah, if you haven't watched that one yet, check it out. It's exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Carl says, in your lodge, how much time do y'all practice work? Carl,
once a week.
Once a week. So
every Wednesday.
I'm a district instructor in one district, and I'm a member of 2 different districts. So it's once a week, but it's split evenly between the two lodges. So 2 weeks in my district, my district instructor district, and 2 weeks local. So, but yeah, twice a week.
Ours is once a week, but we did, just so that you know, we were very careful in picking a day that did not go along with anybody else's stuff. That way we would never be interrupted, and it was always our thing. Yep. It's our day, our thing, and we're known for it. So we've spoken about it before in other lodges. Every Wednesday we show up. The young guys are downstairs learning work, learning the catechism, the memorization. And then the old guys are upstairs practicing the floor school, the floor work, which is the memorization and how to do your feet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when the young guys see us going upstairs every week to do that work, they see that even when they're done, they're going to be expected to go upstairs.
Yep.
It doesn't stop sitting down there learning that catechism. So we firmly agree that it should be a regular thing and not messed around with. But you should always, and this is with anything, you should always be, thinking about what everybody else is doing, because you want the most participation you can get. Mm-hmm. And so you don't want to.
Have you not been to lodge this week?
Me?
Yeah, you.
It's Sunday.
Okay, well, it's been a week, right? Have you not been to lodge?
What do you mean?
Oh, just curious. Just curious.
We have floor school. On Wednesday.
So you had floor school on Wednesday?
Yeah, we had floor school on Wednesday.
All right. Okay.
And then all my lodges are doing their thing this week, and I did have one lodge. Edna was opened up last week. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just curious.
We keep on going down here.
Curious.
We don't slack it with.
Well, I was starting to think you hadn't been in a Masonic lodge in like a month or something.
No, I've been hiding out.
Oh, okay. So Carl continues his line of questioning. Basically, what he's asking is, should we be practicing at stated meetings? I'll tell you what we do not at the meeting, but I'll tell you what we do at my lodge. Everyone gets at the lodge for dinner around 6:15, and the lodge opens at 7. The officers and we all get there at 5. We get there at 5.
That's a quick lunch. Yeah.
We get there at 5. And what we do is we go over opening, closing, and anything we might be doing. So if we're doing a Lodge of Sorrow or receiving district deputy or anything like that, we use that time to go over it before we all go to eat and then actually do the meeting. So it's the same thing with York Rite, because York Rite has a whole bunch of penal signs and things like that. And no one usually remembers it. So before we open for York Rite, we'll go through it all together. That way we're not looking that we're not doing like the Macarena trying to figure things out.
Well, that makes sense, but we do it every Wednesday. We practice all that ahead of time.
Yeah, well, I mean, we practice whatever's coming up. So if there's a degree, we'll practice that or things like that. But I'm saying the Monday of the stating meeting, we'll practice whatever's relevant to that evening. CWH says it doesn't sound good when the memory work is robotic or sounds flat and dry. It's really hard to get emphasis, punctuation, delivery from memory. Great way to learn how to be an actor. Yeah. Oh, I agree.
Yeah. And it takes time. It just takes time to get good at it.
When I started doing lectures, especially the fellowcraft, because I'm mobile as I do it, you're going to be robotic starting off, right? But as you get more comfortable with it, yeah, it gets much better. And I think that has a much greater impact. Devin McLean, yeah, I've seen those videos. So he's talking about the one we were talking about, the bait and switch. It's just hard, especially when you're young, because some folk make it seem like your opinion doesn't matter because I don't have enough laughing.
You're
spots.
right.
Yeah.
You're right. And we all have to earn our stripes. It's just like when we go to work. We just get out of college. We've learned all this stuff, but we're not ready for work.
So
it takes time.
There's two sides to this. And
I'm going to fill up some water.
And as a young Mason, it is extremely frustrating that you to want to be involved and to have ideas and have it shot down because you're young or inexperienced, so on and so forth, right?
Right.
But on the other hand, from the old guard perspective, they kept the lodges running and functioning. They may barely be running, they may barely be functioning, but they kept it running and functioning, right? And I'm also realizing that some people just get off on that kind of thing, being in charge.
Well, it also goes back to and I'll say this wholeheartedly. I agree with it too. It also goes back to the new guy. Yeah, the lodge is responsible for giving a brother opportunities to get busy and get to work. Mm-hmm. But the new guy has to want to do what the lodge wants to do. You got to get to know the lodge first and really work with everybody for a while. You know, they have to, trust me, in Texas, they did not learn about you in your before you were initiated. So they do not know enough about you to really mold and gel with you and get that trust. So that's what you got to do at first.
This is why I always say, because when people ask, how do I join? This is why I always say, check out lots of lodges before you submit anything, before you turn in a petition. Because you may, if you go, usually with young people, it's like, hey, we should do a Facebook page. We should promote our events. We should post events. You know, it's modernizing the Masonic Lodge. And a lot of older people don't necessarily like that.
Right.
That's why it's important to shop around and find the lodge that will be receptive. Shares your values, might be receptive to your ideas. Because frankly, if a lodge is dying and you're trying to fix it, you're fighting an uphill battle, especially if you're the new guy.
Right.
Let's see.
I personally don't want to join something that's dying to begin with. So to be honest with you, I would look at different lodges and see where, you know, I'm going to thrive and learn something and be able to be fed what I'm looking for. Because just joining to join is you'll go in there just like Justin and I get burned out and leave right away because it's just. And that's a mismatch.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Because there are lodges out there that are doing work.
So Carl says, and I want to just point this out, and then I want to just so that it's out there. I want to address some of these because the chat box is filling up quick. I don't want to come back and answer this question. So Carl says, I am new. I'm a new Master Mason, and my lodge is struggling, but I want to learn and turn it around. What are some ways I might be able to help us get motivated? So I'm putting that out there. Let's address the rest of these real quick, and I want to come back to this because it's good. It's a good conversation.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
So Scott,
that's perfect for right now.
I guess the bigger picture to ask is how often do lodges conducting floor school actually pause and stop and think about what they're actually saying? Not very often. Not very often. And I'll tell you what helped me.
Well, that's because that's not what the job is there. Education is done separate.
So I'll tell you what helps me is that going to forums, because it points these kind of things out. Not just the footwork.
Some of them.
Well,
some of them.
I went to one specific person's.
The surface level of whatever.
But
you think?
I think it is important to be able to as you're going through. Well, I mean, it's okay. You can think whatever you want. I'm just saying, as you're practicing, well, Masonic education can happen anywhere, dude. And so as you're pointing it out, as you're going through the floor work, I think that's beneficial.
That is a good time when you're doing floor work.
Yeah, Filler Boy. I'm a new Master Mason also. Welcome, sir. Glad to have you. Dragon Blood says, hey. I don't know that that's what they sound like, but when you have a metal name like Dragon Blood, I assume you sound like this. Pretty cool.
That's awesome. I'm all about it.
Carl gives so Scott Bratson giving advice to Carl. Advice I give is read about Freemasonry and ask brethren what something means or why we do this. Don't take that the way it is for an answer. That's good. That's good.
Right.
Carl's asking for sources. We'll get you, Kyle. Hold on. Jamie Starrett. Hello, all. Hello, Jamie.
Carl, message us on Masonic Improvement. I'll get you some stuff.
Yeah. We got some resources.
I can hook you up.
Scott gives some examples of some good books. Red Raider says we tell the candidates the same, which is to visit around. Each lodge has his own personality. Austin White says regarding ritual, there are a lot of brothers who have a hard time with grasping. There's an art and a science to a ritual. Absolutely.
Yeah, there is.
Some of them know the words backwards and forwards, but if you put them on the floor, they're clueless. And just because you memorize it doesn't mean you know what you're talking about. And I see that a lot too.
Yeah, and I don't want that guy on there. He can do the charge or the stuff at the end, but I don't want him doing the ritual. I want somebody who can fluctuate their voice, who can give emphasis, give pause, can yodel, whatever needs to be done. I want that brother that can actually put that in there to do the degree.
So let's revisit.
And that's not always me too.
Let's revisit Carl.
I'll sit on the sideline. Yeah.
So again, I'm new Master Mason. My lodge is struggling, and I want to learn and turn it around. What are some ways I might be able to help us get motivated? First of all, Carl, you need to understand that in most lodges, what you're talking about doing is an uphill battle, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to discourage you. I just want you to be aware.
Yeah, don't get discouraged because it can be done.
And furthermore, as soon as you think you've reached a plateau and you take your back off the rock and take a break, you look down and that rock's rolling downhill, right? Yeah. So there is no finish line. You're constantly working and constantly rolling that uphill.
But it all starts with, while he's coughing, it all starts with trust and getting the buy-in from the elders of the lodge. You got to build the trust by working with those elders, showing genuine interest in what they did, what they, how they got it to where you are now. And then they'll know where your heart is. But once they know where your heart is, they're more willing to work with you on new things. But until they see that you truly love the fraternity and you're not just trying to make it what you think it should be, then they're not going to be on your side. So you got to care enough to care about what they've been doing first.
And it really depends. Your question really depends on what your interests are, right? Because there's no one size fits all. You could say, well, you need to learn some of the ritual, or you need to get in the officer line, or you need to read more books, or so on and so forth. It really depends on what your interests are. I will say for me, and I'm echoing what Scott was saying, for me it started with reading, right? Because I don't know if you know this, but there was a period when I actually left Freemasonry. I walked away. And a few years later, after doing
told us that.
After doing some research online and looking up it's called Traditional Observance Lodges, Traditional Observance Freemasonry. It was pretty big at the time. I don't know if it's still even really that big of a deal, but at the time it was a really big deal.
It is, but it's all invitation only.
Yeah, and but it was everything exactly what I was looking for in Freemasonry, and that inspired me to start trying to bring improvements to my lodge that is heavily influenced by traditional observance, but not traditional observance, because a lot of that stuff is not legal.
A lot of that stuff,
and gets you the wrong kind of attention. But there's certain this whole traditional observance is all about continuous improvement, right? It's all about how can we raise the bar. And so that's what I started trying to do at my lodges. What are we doing? How can we raise the bar on it? How can we fix it and make it better? And that's what improvement's about.
What I did is I jumped in feet first with the brothers that were doing floor school and all that. And so that they knew that I was interested in what mattered to them. And as I built that trust and understanding and eventually got into the line and everything, I was looking around and just looking at areas that I'm good at, things that I'm good at that isn't being done, right? So it's not that I'm trying to make anybody stop doing anything, but what I'm trying to do is add what my strengths are to the lodge. And then that way you're not fighting them about taking something away from them. You're just adding something of extra value that you can do. And but I would also make sure that it aligns with the values of a few other brothers so that you have some support in it.
Yeah. A few more comments. So let's see. I lost my place here. So Adam Olivier, great guy. Freemasonry is more than stated meetings. Think of a college fraternity.
Absolutely.
Their business meetings are an afterthought. What makes a fraternity worth existing are the events it creates for its members. So with that, I'm becoming more and more of this mentality, and it echoes what I've experienced at Grand Lodge. Right, sitting in Grand Lodge in the Grand whatever, the Grand Chamber or whatever. That's all well and good, right? The enjoyment that I get out of Grand Lodge is in the lobby.
Everything surrounding it.
Or after Grand Lodge, right? Grand Lodge itself, the actual meeting, is a business meeting, and it has to happen, right? I look at stated meetings that way more and more. Stated meetings are business meetings, and they have to happen, right? But the real, as Dennis would say, the real meat and potatoes of what happens that night probably should be before and after the meeting. That's when you come together. You can have a libation or two, not that you have to. I'm just saying, and discuss Freemasonry and whatever's on your mind. My York Rock buddies went to a local restaurant and had just kind of an end of year dinner, and so we went to a local restaurant, rented out the back room, filled the place up. Did some awards and just had great conversation, and that was and people were commenting as soon as it was over that they want to do it again. Let's do this again. This is great. This is fun time. There was no Masonic activity that happened other than just brothers being brothers and spending time with one another. And so I would say not just dinner, but
y'all didn't have an education thing at all.
Well, we were going to, and I didn't have anything prepared because I was expecting. I had
somebody else to do it.
I had a primary and then a backup, and neither one showed up. So that's on me. But yeah, so we did the awards, and I passed Thrasilestius, passed Grand Thrasilestius. He gave a talk, but it wasn't like strictly educational or anything. But it was a great time. And moving forward with that, we will be sure that we have a more polished program. But you don't have to do something like that. Go bowling. Go do Topgolf or something.
Oh yeah, and make a competition out of it.
Yep.
Make it a fundraiser. Why not? I had a couple of ideas. That one of them is on Christmas you could have a fundraiser, a black tie only event that you can sell ugly sweaters to your members to wear instead of their black tie, and all that money goes to the fund to as a fundraiser. Well, that was just a fun thing. That was just a fun thing that I thought about that could go along with a Christmas dinner. So it gets everybody together for a Christmas party and have fun.
This was kind of a proof of concept for me, because something I've always wanted to do is there's no dress code or anything. Just show up, please bring your wife, and we'll hang out and spend time together. I've always wanted to do like a district.
I don't like those so much.
It was good because we don't have anything like that. This is the first time we've done anything like that. But anyway,
I always have a dress code. Sorry.
Oh, you're talking about dress codes. I thought you were talking about your wife.
I always have a dress code. Always. Always.
I think something a little more formal would be fun, right? I think something that's pretty informal, and then something on the other end of the spectrum. I think it has value, right? Go ahead, Dennis.
You never let me do my second thing. Oh, I did my first one, but you didn't let me.
Well,
do
your
my
first
second.
one took. Okay, go ahead.
You know how long yours took?
Go ahead.
And I would just waited. I've been patient lately. I've been trying to give you more time.
Dude, please, come on. You're killing me, Smalls.
So my other one was specifically for CWH who's wanting to help his lodge, and it's a struggling lodge. My smallest lodge in my district, none of the members of that lodge are members of that community. And we've talked about this here recently. And so what they started doing, and I think it's the most badass thing they could have done, is that now every month before their stated meeting, they don't have dinner at lodge. They have dinner at a Mexican restaurant, the most popular Mexican restaurant in town. They fill up a long table of 20 people. Their membership is up too, by the way. Number one, they're eating better food.
Yep.
And people are paying for it because they want that better food. They see the value.
Yep.
But not only that, but they're going into a facility, taking up this big, huge table, and everybody around is seeing them before their stated meeting. So
we like to sequester ourselves away too much.
Yeah, why not do that? That is just the most badass thing. I think every lodge should do that. If you don't have a fine dining establishment in your lodge, if you don't have fine dining in there, you should go out to do that.
I think
that would be much
even
nicer.
If there's a huge amount of value. Not just because you're actually getting out and people actually seeing, oh my gosh, those guys are enjoying each other's company and having fun.
But you can have a beer.
Doing. Yeah, and you can have a beer or whatever. But also, this thing that burns me up lately is you have brothers that will cook food, and I'm not saying it's bad food or anything like that, but they'll put $50-$60 into the meal, and the lodge reimburses them like $20 because that's all that gets put into donation, right?
Right.
I think it's better. Let's go to an actual restaurant and have food, and if you want to eat with the brothers, you will, unless like extenuating circumstances. I'm saying we help each other out, but you're buying your meal otherwise.
Right. And then you get exactly what you want.
You get exactly what you want. Exactly.
Yeah. Everybody's happy. It makes for a much better situation. And then you have more time to just sit and visit. You don't even have to deal with cleanup or anything. You just have a lot of fun. Kid break.
Yep. Austin White, I can't stand seeing someone be forced to go through the chairs, especially if they're not comfortable. Some brothers don't want to be worship master, and some guys are more than happy being steward or deacon. Yeah, I can't stand it either. And I will say this, and I meant to say this earlier when we originally were talking about officers. If you have a strong worship master that's doing a good job, there is absolutely positively, unless he is just done, there is no reason that you should feel he needs to be one and done with that position. If he's doing a great job, why would you kick him out? Why would you kick him out? And that goes to all the officers. If they're doing a good job, don't kick them out. Let them stay where they're at. And if this also helps you build up your line, because if you have someone that doesn't show up, like Dennis was talking about, that's when they get replaced, because they may be in the same office for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and that's fine.
Yeah, and it's sad when brothers make it to senior warden and all of a sudden work takes them away. But if work takes them away, then they don't need to be the master, because the lodge needs the master to actually do the job. So, we can't just keep doing this rotating through the chairs just for the sake of rotating through the chairs and giving everybody a chance to do it. That's one of the biggest travesties that we have in our lodges. We feel like we're unhealthy if we don't change people every year. But the reality is that can actually cause some smaller lodges to become more unhealthy, because then you have brothers that don't know how to run the lodge, running the lodge and running it into the ground. That's a big thing with me that I really don't believe in, is that, everything is done through merit. This year I thought I was going to be elected to a certain position, and I wasn't. And that was because this past year I've been gone from that particular body for, I can't hear you.
We went from 15 viewers to 0. What did you do?
You lie. we got 15 more.
Oh.
I personally lost a seat in a body this year that I thought I would be going to, but I ended up not going to. And the reason why is because I haven't been able to be there. As district deputy grand master and on the education committee and stuff. It was tough this year. It was a hard year, but I'm glad that that body is smart enough to do the right thing for that body. You know, that's the important thing. We're doing this for the future of Freemasonry, not for the future of that brother, right? So if that brother's a brother, he's going to be there the next year also, and he can always jump in at that point when he has more time. That's fine and dandy. You know, that's the thing about all this. And I personally, I've gone in and out of lines for the very reason I was bumped up in line, for the very reason of the right person for the seat should be in that seat. Yeah. And I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I don't care if you've got a better person to do the job than me, I want that person in that job. Yeah. But he better be better.
So Carl,
I'll be watching.
Carl says, my goal for myself, I guess he's talking about 2023, is to have an A cert. Mm-hmm. Do it, man. Do it.
Yeah. If you're a young Mason, go for it.
I'll tell you this. A cert's a lot of work, but once you get there, it doesn't feel like it was. Once it's all in your head, it doesn't seem like a lot. We'll put it that way, right?
Right.
Devin McLean says, y'all actually talk about Masonry at your dinners? Yeah, man. Whenever we can. Whenever we can. I think
anytime I'm sitting down, you're talking.
I think a dinner is a great time to have an educational program. I think even better if it's outside the lodge, right? Like if you're somewhere. But yeah, I think
dinners, get a room.
I think dinners are a great time to have education. When you're in lodge, people kind of feel like they're held hostage, right? They can't just they're hesitant just to get up and walk out, like if they got to use the bathroom or something like that, or if it just takes long and they need to leave. But if you're doing it at a dinner, you can get up, go about your business, do whatever. And
also, go ahead.
I think when people are eating, they are more apt to listening to a lengthy conversation than it would be if they're just sitting.
Oh yeah, they're not doing anything but eating, so they can just listen. That's a good time to do it. Yeah. And guys, while we're on that subject of doing it while you have a dinner, recently I went to an Elks Lodge.
Ew.
And man, it's awesome. They actually manage a business as a lodge. So the Elks, they generally will have a restaurant/bar attached to their lodge building.
You know, there's a local Elks Lodge in the next town over,
So what I was going to say, go ahead.
No, by all means.
I'll let you cut me off in the middle. That's fine. Go ahead.
No, it never occurred to me to participate in it. But yeah, there's one close by.
The reason I say that though is because they've got great places for you to meet that are private. You can have a private dinner. And it's cheaper than going to, and you have a real nice dinner that's cheaper than going to a real nice restaurant.
Yep.
And so think about that, guys. If you have that opportunity close to you, there's a lot more than I thought were out there. You know, there really are.
CWH says, what is larger or healthier in Texas, York Rite or Scottish Rite? Or all your blue lodges, York Rite? First of all, yeah, all the blue lodges in Texas are York Rite. I would say Scottish Rite is healthier. I would say that's not necessarily. I would say that's probably. I feel like it's changing. I feel like I don't know that York Rite's getting. I'm not saying York Rite's getting weaker, but I feel like York. Let me back up. I'm rushing because I don't want Dennis to interrupt me. I'm not saying that Scottish Rite is getting weaker, but I definitely feel as though York Rite, Chapter Council Commandery, is getting stronger. So
sure they are.
As of right now, Scottish Rite, I would say it's just more popular. So probably stronger, but I think York Rite is maybe it's just because it's popping at my lodge, but I think it's as a whole across the state popping too.
Because it wasn't always just the York Rite deal. The Scottish Rite was around a lot.
What are you talking about?
Nothing.
Okay. Let's see. There's another comment here. Hold on. I saw something earlier. Scott Bratson says there's a two-part here. I'm going to say it. The progressive line is a foolish custom. A big problem with the progressive line is that it takes those who are skilled through the line and then quickly out of it. So, I see where he's coming from.
But the thing is, we should be teaching those around us, though.
I see where he's coming from, because it's kind of just autopilot. You take a new guy, he starts at the bottom, he starts as a steward, 7 years, he's a master mason, he's a worshipful master, right? It's autopilot. You don't have to think about it, right? And yeah, you're churning out an inferior product that way. The best practice, frankly, is every year the lodge takes a strong look at his officer line in a legs based off strength and capability. And if everyone's doing a good job, they leave them where they're at. That's ideal. Are most lodges going to do that? Probably not. So I advocate more like a hybrid, where you have a progressive line. However, every year the lodge is looking at that line. Is there a missing spot? Is there someone that isn't doing their job?
That's not even hybrid. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it was always supposed to be. And we've screwed it up. We as the brothers have screwed it up.
I think I agree with you, first of all, but I think as humans, we kind of err towards whatever's easiest, right? And so that's why I say
path of least resistance.
Yeah, the path of least resistance. That's why I say it's important that we are actively monitoring that progressive line. But
we did that, we'd have people more serious. Yeah, we'd have more serious people in the line if they did it. The fact that a lodge just pushes people through, and the reality is that I think everybody should go through every seat, not just, skip the stewards if you have regular stewards or whatever. They can be the teachers to the stewards, but you should have a steward in a steward position. And the reason why is because their first job is to understand servancy to the craft, and serving your brothers. That's the very first thing that they should learn. And so there's lessons to be learned in each one of the seats. And if we were doing it right, people would be learning those lessons, and they would be becoming better at orchestrating and administrating the lodge, instead of just passing through the chairs and shitting all over everybody that's a member of the lodge.
I would say that
because they want to just have a title instead of doing any work.
Every office has a role, right? And if a year has gone by,
it was set up that way for a reason.
If a year has gone by and if someone has not fulfilled the duties of their office, or just hasn't come at all, or if they still don't know how to open and close and do their part as their office,
they don't need to go on.
They definitely should not advance, because if they can't handle, responsibility increases as you go through the line, right? And those experiences are important. So if you are neglecting those experiences, or if you can't handle the responsibility you already have, then you definitely aren't ready for anything else.
And it all boils down to planning. If you're in one chair, you should be planning for the next chair. Yep. And that way, when you get in that chair, you're not worried about that chair. It's already planned thoroughly, and you're just implementing your plan. And then by doing that, it takes away the stress of that year, and you can focus on planning for the next year. Yep. And that's the way it should be, and people just aren't doing that. That's why people need to go to officer leadership training, so they can understand that kind of thing.
So we have the one and only James Kirkpatrick in our chat now. Sorry, I missed the first half due to Sunday Night Football between the Steelers and Ravens.
I was watching
the podcast now on YouTube. Well, James, we're just glad to have you.
So, we are stoked. Don't have any tacos.
All rise for the Taco King. Yeah.
Yeah. Today was what did y'all have tonight? Just ask. Let's go to. Speaking of traditions, what tradition did you have tonight? Today for eating, what did y'all eat?
Oh, nachos.
Every year we have cabbage for money, and peas, black-eyed peas for luck. And then on our Hispanic heritage side, we have 12 grapes on New Year's Eve, one for each month of the next year for prosperity and good luck.
That's a great idea.
Grape idea.
It's a great idea.
Grape ape.
CWH, I wonder if taking longer for candidates and degree work might be the key for membership retention at the Blue Lodge level. EA, Fellowcraft, Master Masons, after 3 years minimum, might mean less to MITs. So and I can't speak for Dennis, but I think he's the same mentality. I'm really big on taking longer, and not necessarily long between degrees, although I wouldn't object to that. But I definitely an advocate for taking longer
until they know what they're doing
with the petitioning process.
That for sure.
Definitely, the lodge should get to know the people, and we're talking like a year. Take your time. He's gonna be a Mason the rest of his life once he's initiated, right? So take your time. Be sure everyone gets a chance to know him, and when he receives that petition, it's a big deal because he's been patient and he's worked for it, right? As far as in between degrees, if you have something to fill that gap, then absolutely, right? Because it doesn't take a year to learn your EA or Fellowcraft Master Mason proficiency, especially in some other jurisdictions, right? So it doesn't take a year. I think ideally, here's just my thought. Let me. I'm going to share an extreme example with you. Then I'm going to share what I think is probably the most feasible. I have a good friend, and I won't name names because it's his story. But when he received his degrees, he was taught his memory work by his uncle. And at that time, you couldn't come to lodge. You couldn't sit in lodge unless you were a Master Mason. So the only time he came to lodge was for his degrees. And what his uncle did was when he was an EA, he taught him the questions and answers, taught him how to confer an EA degree into lecture, right? And then same thing for Fellowcraft, the same thing for Masters. And no one had told him otherwise. And so by the time he turned in his Master's work, he could confer all the degrees, he could give all the lectures, and he could teach anyone the questions and answers. I mean, if you're going to take your time, fill it with something, right? That's a bit extreme, but I mean, tell me a lodge that would
I would rather do the education portion.
Tell me a lodge that would not benefit from having more people that can confer degrees. Because there's not.
That's true. That's true.
But on the other hand, I'd
still rather have education.
Yeah, I think on the other hand, the other alternative is sure they memorize their catechism, but they're also required to present some kind of an educational piece based off.
Yeah, they do that in Mexico, and that's awesome. There's a lot of grand jurisdictions that do stuff like that. They extend out the EA and the Fellowcraft time period that you have to wait. It's extended out, and you have to not only memorize, but you have to present an education piece on that degree.
Yep.
So I think that if anything, that would be the perfect solution, in my opinion, to many of the problems that we're having.
So James mentioned something, and I actually 100% agree with this. And hear me out. His idea is
say what James said first.
His idea is to keep candidates. His idea to keep candidates is to not put a time restriction, but EAs pay dues. They pay annual dues. And first of all,
more than if you weren't.
That means
I would say
that means there's no rush because you're paying dues, paying member, and I think a lot of the pressure comes from the lodge because they want those dues, right? They want him to be a Master Mason, so they kind of rush him through. Well, he's an EA; he's already paying dues. The other thing is you have all these lodges right now with perpetual EAs right now, and so Grand Lodge says, okay, we're gonna start charging you dues. For lack of a better term, either shit or get off the pot, right? Either come to lodge and learn your work, or tell us you're not interested and we'll take you off the roll altogether.
I would like to take that one step further. And I like that. I love that. But I think that before that's done, I think people should increase their initiation fees on each one, and then charge that. If you don't get it done in 1 year, you pay this amount to become an EA, right? We do it already, and then that year rolls over. They get that year. Okay, they didn't make it. Well, pay the same initiation fee, make it $200, $300, something like that, and make that then you're going to see who's really invested in your lodge or not, who really wants to but had an issue, or who just don't.
Yeah,
that's an awesome shit or get off the pot. If you ask me, that would be the perfect scenario.
Yeah, maybe so. Either way, I think we all agree. Waiting till they're masters to charge them anything extra. Kind of shooting ourselves in the foot.
I would rather Grand Lodge raise the minimum amount of initiations to like $200 a person, and then make a law saying that if they don't do it within the 1 year, they have to re-up their initiation fees to the lodge to be able to continue. And that way, it doesn't throw them into the per capita stance, but it throws them into the. And then they only get so many years to do that. That way, lodges don't sit on EAs collecting big money on purpose.
Mats is here. He says there's a reason why Swedish Rite takes so long to go from first to 10th degree. I'm confident that there's value in that, and not rushing them. James Stewart, we started doing this at Temple Lodge with great success. I'm not sure what you started doing. I assume either slowing down the petitioning process or maybe having some kind of require something educational. I'd be curious.
Adding a little more to the. Yeah. That's cool.
Mott says, isn't there small books about each degree of the Blue Lodge to read and study? Yes.
They're supposed to.
They're supposed to.
It's the Rainbow books.
Yeah, the Rainbow books. They exist.
Texas Lodge of Instruction. Here, let me go get them.
They're not extremely lengthy.
I'll get them.
1 second. Okay. Let me look here. Carl says, I don't think it should be that high, but charge them every year. Yeah, I mean,
I think so. Why not?
There's no.
Who decides how much is too much? I would have paid when I joined the fraternity. I would have paid $1,000 per degree because I wanted to be a Mason. I didn't care what it cost me.
Yep.
I wanted to be a Mason.
Jamie says he was talking about making them present on lessons, and it's been very effective. So, yeah.
This is what Mott's talking about. Mott's talking about this, and there's books for every portion of the degree work, and before and after. And so, yeah, they're called the Rainbow books now because they're all a different color. They used to all be white.
Yeah. But now he says they should be laying out. Yeah, they're giving out. They're supposed to be anyway.
They should be given specifically, not just laying out. That's a specific requirement they're supposed to have. And if the lodge isn't doing that, they're not making. They're making clandestine Masons.
So James, Kirkpatrick,
Texas.
He says, where'd he go? I think the annual dues should be for EA should be the same as Masters. I lean towards that. I agree for a few reasons. First, we're overly complicating things, right? When a flat rate works just fine. And secondly, it would have the opposite effect. Like we rush people now to be Master Masons, so they're paying dues. Well, you'd have lodges that are they're slowing them down, which sounds like what we want, but they're slowing them down just to keep the higher dues, and that's not what we want either. I think a flat rate makes the most sense. Carl says our degrees are 75 each and should be yearly as well. I guess that's what he means, like instead of like charging per year. I don't know. I'm not gonna tell you what your lodge should charge for dues, but that seems
every lodge should do it based on finances.
Yeah. RTZW Masonry is about the journey, not the destination. A master should be a master, not an apprentice. Let's see here.
Right. So by the time they get to a master's level, they should be a master.
Yeah,
you're right.
Well, the benefit of the master is you have a say in the direction of your lodge now, right? You're still. I mean, an EA is a master. I mean, an EA is a Mason, right? Right. He is receiving wages from the lodge, right?
Right.
Is it as much as a fellow crafter or a master Mason? No, but it reminds me of a story, and I don't remember who it was or anything. But this was long ago before child labor laws, and there was a man who wanted to learn how to do a specific trade, and so he asked one of the local tradesmen to teach him.
That's how I learned.
And so he went in the morning and worked all day, and he asked his mentor what he was going to be paid, and he's like, "You should be paying me. I'm teaching you a trade, right? Mm-hmm. I'm doing you a favor." And it's the same mentality. Like we are teaching EAs a trade. I mean, we are, if they're internalizing the lessons, we're setting them for life. We're changing the course of their life for the better.
Right.
So yeah, they absolutely.
If lodges are doing what they should be doing, it should be life impacting for anybody.
Yeah.
And yeah, it should be well worth the money. And I'm not gonna talk bad about the $75 dues because I have lodges that are doing that still. But I think that all lodges should be way past that.
He's talking about degree fees, I think.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean that's still. I mean, every lodge is different, right? So I mean, $75 degree fees maybe covering everything. Who knows? But I think
that's not enough for me because you're putting in a lot of time.
Here's my thing. We talk a lot about dues, right? And we give the formula like your dues should cover your operating cost, right? And your dues shouldn't necessarily. Granted, there's some conversation on this, but your dues conservatively should not have to be more than it is to cover your operating cost, right? And I know there's some disagreement, and I'm not saying I wholeheartedly agree with this, but I'm just saying to sell it, that's where that is, right?
That's the minimum.
That's the minimum.
Yeah.
I'm on a completely different fence about degree fees, right? If you look historically at degree fees, George Washington, Sam Houston,
never meant to be cheap.
It was never cheap, and it was more than expensive enough to cover whatever they gave them, right? Most lodges either take a loss on degrees or they charge just enough to cover whatever he's given, like his Bible and his apron or things like that. I think they should be much more, and the reason for this is it's there's certain barriers that mental barriers that we have to overcome as men when we're doing things, right? And if you can overcome those barriers, it has a psychological effect, and that you don't back up, you don't go back over the barrier. You've already passed it. And for a lot of guys, you see a high cost associated with something. That's a barrier, right? And if you're not sincere about it, then that might turn you away, right? But whether you have to save up for it or have to cut some corners to make it happen, you cross that barrier, you don't turn around and go back. So you pay a lot for the EA degree. Damn it, I'm going to learn that work. I paid a lot to get in here. Especially by the time you finish all your degrees and you're a master mason. That's a significant commitment from you to get to that point, and there's no turning back. You're going to only move forward.
Right. I agree, and I've discussed it before that I think degree fees should be more like 500, 500, and 500, and there's a specific reason for it and a formula to it. And I think if every lodge did that, they would have a higher quality mason coming in the door. And I'm not talking about just what's on the inside. A guy can be a good guy. I don't care if he's just a good guy. I want somebody who's motivated to invest his full time and energy into what he's a part of, and learn what he's a part of, and be a part of what's going on, and not just do it. Because for years there were so many brothers that went out and got their degrees and became master masons, and then went back to work and never came back to the lodge. And then when they retired, they would go back to the lodge. That's because that they were right in the middle of the formula of not paying enough for lodge fees and lodge dues and all that kind of stuff. It was too cheap. They had no reason to be there.
So CWH says the old operative logic definitely translates to speculative for sure. I think the difference is that the lodge positions are unpaid, whereas operative masons were all paid. Hear me out. Historically, secretary, treasurer, in many cases even the tiler, was a paid position.
As well as the instructors.
Yeah, as well as the instructors. And I certainly think, based off what I've seen, how much work a secretary puts in, I certainly think a secretary should be paid something. Yeah. I'm not saying it's a full-time job, but given how many
they
hours
don't get
they put
paid,
into it.
Yeah, but they don't get paid because we don't charge them. Because we want to make it free for the next guy. Sorry. I'm just...
What are you talking about?
I don't like that subject.
You lost me. I'm not sure what you mean.
Now none of them get paid because we're too busy trying to make it cheap for somebody else to come in.
Oh yeah. So
none of those valuable positions that really manage our day to day get paid.
Yeah, this was what occurred. This occurred when dues were higher, right? And most secretaries don't do it because the dues are not. They never kept up with the times. But yeah, absolutely. Some of these positions should be paid. The treasurer. I mean, if you look at treasurer and secretary, and how much time they put into the lodge,
especially if they're in a bigger lodge.
Yeah. And even the Tyler, like, I mean, let's be honest. Tyler in most lodges isn't doing his job because he is not outside that door.
Right.
But he should be compensated for it. Like if I'm not in the lodge, I should at least. I mean, I'm doing work.
They're guard. That's why you can hire somebody outside of the lodge to be a Tyler.
Yeah.
They're just a guard.
RTZW says I think this is referring back to EAs what we were talking about earlier, paying and dues and stuff. A big question is should someone who has not been a Mason for a year have the ability to vote in lodge on important issues? You say that, but you could be a Master Mason in less than a year. You could be a workshop master in less than 2 years.
You have a right to vote. Yeah, you have a right to vote
at 2 years. Yeah, so
if you're not, then no.
Which is really scary.
You're not ready.
They should have a right to vote, I think, but
I don't think so.
I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
They're not members of the lodge.
If they're a Master Mason,
you're not a. If you're a master, yes.
Yeah.
But if you're not, then
all the more reason to slow it down, I think.
Mm-hmm.
If you've been a Master Mason, if you've been a Mason less than 5 years and you're a Worship Master, someone dropped the ball somewhere. And I'm not saying that's what you're talking about, but I've seen it, right? There's a certain kind of wisdom that comes with being affiliated for a certain amount of time, I think, right? And
you have no skin in the game. If you're not a master, you have no skin in the game because you can walk away tomorrow and never be a Master Mason.
So CWH says. So an increase in dues and initiation fees could afford to pay those positions as a plus. Yeah, absolutely.
As well as provide for the food, so that it's not a open jar for what you can afford. You could still have a tip jar. You could have a tip jar for thanking the brothers for doing that job, and then they can do whatever they want to with the money. But the lodge has already covered the meal. And then they can actually plan the meals based on how much money they have. Based on, the lodge can set the value of the meal just by putting it as part of the dues. That would be optimal.
So Adam Olivier says, I firmly believe that financially stable lodges should pay for a Mason from another lodge to be a Tyler, even if it was just a free dinner and $20. This does a small part in helping the lodge. Emphasis on from another lodge. I mean,
I agree. We had that in several lodges in our district.
Yeah. I mean, if you're getting a meal out of it and a little bit of cash, why not? As long as it's not a 3-hour lodge meeting. But
there's a couple of lodges that have non-members of that lodge as Tylers of their lodge. They're Master Masons, but they're just not members of that lodge, but they're Tylers of the lodge.
Yeah. I see no problem with that. Man, there's been a lot of good feedback this time. It's been, chat's been blowing up this time. A lot of good conversation.
I guess Brother Fluff just brought all the riffraff with him.
I don't know.
That was a great conversation.
While I'm thinking about it, while we still got quite a few people, on the 11th, Dennis and I will be interviewing Brother Jim Hall from the Traveling Man Masonic podcast. So he'll be coming on our show. Hopefully we'll be coming on his at some point. So keep an ear out for that, because when that drops, it's going to be pretty awesome. Just throwing that out. I'm also in communication
We also need to. I need to call Dave in. He can come pretty much anytime.
Who became?
Yeah, we need to do that because that's coming up.
I'm also in conversation with a few other podcasts, trying to be conscientious in reaching out to these podcasts, these Masonic podcasts and related podcasts, and trying to just cross-pollinate, I guess, for lack of a better term. Hear what they had to say. They can hear what we have to say, and go from there. So keep an ear out for that. CWH says, "Yep, I think that an increase in cost would be good, and also afford a nice patent for newly raised Master Masons to hang on their walls at home to remember their important rites of passage." Patents are something that I really, really, really want to start doing. I have not found a good patent provider. Dennis, you may know.
Grand Lodge has the certificates already.
Like the patents, like the big ones?
For Master Mason, no, they don't have the big patent, but they have the Master Mason certificate.
I want like a big fancy patent, man. I just hadn't found a good place to have them made. But I think that'd be pretty sweet.
I can look around. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, they're practically paying for it at my lodge anyway. But just make it something that's important and memorable. I also want to just say this while we're talking about giving out papers, guys. If Brother Flynn makes patents, apparently I'll have to check that out. But if you're giving a brother an award, a certificate, a service award, something like that, please do not just hand him a piece of paper. And what I mean by that is if you know this is going to happen and you have the paper,
get a frame.
Please put it in a frame. It looks so lazy, or like an afterthought, or you don't really even care when you just give a piece of paper. Put it in a frame, please.
Now, if you're doing like a bulk thing for just certificates, like when we did our veterans deal, we had the lapel pins and the certificate that we handed, that certificate I created.
Yeah.
And that we did it that way. I do have a couple that are being mailed out that have the frames, but I get it.
Yeah.
Especially for Golden Trowel and
Golden Trowel. Dude, I went to 25 Grand Lodge. Years. I'm not going to say how recently this was, but I went to Grand Lodge, and there was a brother there, ancient, right? Super old dude. And I don't mean to be I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just saying he was very, very old. And he was getting like his 80-year certificate or something like that. Something ridiculous. And they called him up there, and he came up on the stage, and they gave him a piece of paper. Just a floppy old piece of paper. And it's like, man, this dude did this for 80 years for you just hand him a piece of paper. Put it on there.
Yeah, they should have
put it in a frame, for God's sake.
And a shadow box and different.
A shadow box, something.
Yeah, with a lot of different items in it as a thank you for your time. Oh my gosh, make that special.
Something. He put 80 years into the fraternity. You could put more than the time it takes to print it out and giving it to him.
Well, not only that, but make the event special by dressing up.
Yeah.
Stop going just like this.
Well, I mean, it was at Grand Lodge.
Oh my God.
That's what I'm saying. It was at Grand Lodge. At Grand Lodge.
This is why it happens in lodges.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. You see, they have it in Grand Lodge, so it's not a big deal just to do it in lodge. I'm telling you, it is a big deal. Put it in a frame.
Right. It is a big deal. You should put it in a frame. Yeah. That's for sure.
Let's look here. Carl says, I do feel like I was rushed through my fellowcraft degree, and I think it was way too easy to become a Master Mason, but I really want to learn the work and let the good light shine. Oh, man.
Carl, we'll get you there.
Yeah.
We'll get you there.
I was rushed too. I'm sure Dennis was.
By the time you get to the fellowcraft, you're so excited because the EA was so hard that you kind of want to anyways. But yeah, it's all a blur at that point. So You're right.
Dan Best, question for somebody new to Freemasonry like myself. I would like to know, what has Freemasonry, I'll just read it. What has Freemasonry taught to both of you in your life? Maybe it's taught both of you in your life? I'm not sure. Clarify, Dan. Clarify what you're asking, please. I'm not sure. I'd love to answer.
Like life lessons?
I'm not sure.
Like life lessons or what?
If you'll clarify, I'll be happy to answer. But I'm not sure what you're asking. Mott says, as in marketing, package of a service or product is important. Absolutely. From and if we want to like exemplify that, the product we offer is Freemasonry. The package is our lodge, right?
Right.
The package is important. The package of our product is very important.
The lodge, the ritual, all of that's part of the package.
Yeah.
And if you slack off on any of it, the meals, the education, the ritual, the lodge building itself, it's all part of the package. If your lodge building looks like crap, people aren't going to want to come in. Not people with money. Now, I don't want to go somewhere I think I'm going to have to spend all of my money just fixing it up for somebody else that didn't care about it. That's...
Scott Bradson says he's got to jump off. He's got to wake up early. Thanks for hopping on, brother.
Take care, Scott. Thank you so much.
Hope to see you at Grand Lodge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. James Kirkpatrick says, bless you, Justin. That's me. For emphasizing the importance of these service awards. Well, I'll tell you this. We'll be giving service awards at my lodge on Monday, tomorrow, at our stadium meeting. And they're all framed. And for reasons I don't know and probably don't need to go into detail, we're looking like, I think it's like 10 to 15 service awards that have been neglected. I think every one of them is in a frame, and they will go to somebody.
I think that's a great idea too.
Here's the thing:
having one big meal.
Well, like someone pointed out, I don't remember who it was, but it's something for your children and grandchildren to keep. If I just have a piece of paper, it's gonna get tore, it's gonna get lost. But if I put it in a frame, when Granddad dies, you're gonna have that. You might not know what it is, but you have it, and hopefully someone down the line will recognize what it is and recognize the importance. I have my grandfather's golden trowel.
I'm at a point that I have all my certificates in a binder, big old binder, like a old photography thing, except it's for certificates.
All right, Dan.
Because they were all given to me without frames.
Dan,
so
sorry about what my autocorrect is messing up my spelling. I meant to ask, what has Freemasonry taught you in your life? Lessons, experiences. It's these things that interest me. Why don't you go first, Dennis?
Man.
Okay, I'll go first.
Yeah, you ought to.
Dan,
that's a big well.
I've said this a few times. I think this is the first time you've been on the show. But I am a. Let me try my fan real quick. It's getting hot in here.
Yeah, you put him in the hot seat. I'm glad.
But
I will say.
Hold on.
I will.
No, it's my turn. It's my turn. Okay. But I'm a very introverted person, and I know it probably doesn't seem like it since I'm hosting a live YouTube and I have a YouTube channel and all that. But I'm extremely introverted, and one of the biggest things Freemasonry taught me was to get out of that shell, right? Talking to people is still extremely exhausting to me, right? Dennis wears me out, just straight up. Sorry, I'm just kidding, but not really. But I'm extremely introverted. Like social interactions wear me out quickly. And before I became a Freemason, the idea of standing up in front of people and talking was completely outside the realm of any kind of possibility. Like it would not happen. But Freemasonry has a way of pushing you out of your comfort zone without really pushing you so far that you even realize it at the time that you're out of your comfort zone. At least if done right. And that's what happened.
Yeah, if you go through the chairs like you're supposed to,
starting
from the beginning, then it's a lot easier.
I mean, if you're worship master after 2 years, then that's not really easing you into anything, right? But yeah, so that was what was huge for me. The type of person I am I don't know what kind of person I would be if it went for Freemasonry. I know when I joined, I was quite a loser, right? I was your typical young millennial with no direction, had no goals in life, right?
Self-centered, self-focused.
Self-centered, thought drugs were great. Not that I did anything hardcore, but love womanizing, and didn't take anything serious. And Freemasonry really, I for lack of a better term, it forced me to take a closer look at a more traditional masculine role in my life.
Right. Right. There you go.
Which I think as society we are missing. I think as society, most men are just grown children at this point.
And depending on the lodge, you may be getting the same thing. So hopefully you're not.
Yeah. And so that's my story. And there's too many examples to list. But I am that person that petitioned died a long time ago. He's not recognizable today. And it's for the better.
I was man, when I first joined, I was caught up in the rat race. I was living in a 3,400 square foot house in the middle of suburbia and in the middle of all these country clubs, and living large, and all I was focused on was how I can increase my own footprint, not how I could increase the footprint of those around me. So the change now, here I am with all the different properties I have, and I still live in an old 1,700 square foot house. That's it. It's taught me to realize that you don't have to have the biggest of everything to be the best. And it's taught me to humble myself that I can still live in this house and walk out of it with a $1,000 tuxedo or suit, and I feel better about it because I manage my household properly. And that helped with Freemasonry. Another thing that I have received from it is like Justin said, of course, you get your it really turns you into a man through those rites of passage. But the other big thing that I got out of it was working in a nonprofit with volunteers is difficult. And everybody has a personality, and you can't tell them, well, just get to work, because they're not making wages on it. They're paying to be there. Mm-hmm. So if you ever aspired to be in a public job of some sort, dealing with your community and whatnot, this is your training ground right here. So you go through it, and you go through to being a past master, and then you're ready to be a chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission, or your city council chair, or whatever. I mean, those are the kind of life lessons you can get just by doing it right, and just doing the bare minimum right. I'm not even talking about the deep hole that I've gone into spiritually and faithfully through Freemasonry. That's just the surface stuff that I'm telling you about. The esoteric, the internal, boy, that's but it takes time. Yeah. It's only going to come to you as you're ready to receive it. So don't think that just because you don't get it yet, or you hadn't heard about something yet that somebody else is talking about, don't think that just because you don't understand it yet, you won't, because you will at some point. I didn't get most of the stuff that I've learned when I first started. It took a long time, and I'm still, things are hitting now that are clicking back when I first started. Yes. It's like, well, okay, that's what that was all about. That's what they were trying to teach me. And so, yeah, man, there's a lot to Freemasonry to offer. If the lodges are being managed properly, then we will get those tools. Yep. And we will get that education.
Devin McLean says, I resonate heavily with that, Justin. He's talking about what I said. And I'll tell you this, Devin. something that I've learned is, often we don't share our experiences or we don't ask our questions because we think we're the only one, and that's often not the case. It's often not the case.
No.
If you have a question, ask it, because just because you think you're the only one, there's probably someone else with the same question just not raising their hand, right? And I learned when I made my biggest video, the Wildlife Freemasonry video, I thought it was just me, right? It was just me trying to get something off my chest, and I didn't expect it to be a big deal. It was just me, just saying this is my experience and it sucked. And I was very surprised by how many other people said I had the same experience. I got to deal with my child.
Real quick, Scott Bratson, thank you for the email. We'll get it on the Excel. Yeah, I like what Justin said as well. But I do think that there's so much more than just that. It's one thing to turn you into another man because you start caring about other people besides yourself. You're growing up and you're getting older and you're seeing, that there's other people in the world with needs. But I think the other stuff is more of a value to me personally.
Dan says, "Thank you both of you. I'm about to be 23. I still live at home with my parents to help take care of my little brother with special needs. I like to think I'm a good person, but I'd like to be better." Man, I was 22 when I joined. Live with my parents. So I mean, like I was saying, don't think that your situation is unique, right? Like I didn't have a special needs sibling or anything like that, but I was living with my parents around the same age, right? It just shows how far a person can go, because I had no direction, and now I have a master's degree. I'm a professional. I have my own house with my own family.
Right.
Never saw that happening. Oh yeah. Never saw that happening. 38. Oh wait, I'm getting my people mixed up. Okay, yeah. So, Dan, I wish I would have known how to join when I was your age. I'm 38, and just became a Master Mason. Thank you for your question. Yeah.
Very cool. See, I was that old.
Sean Rothberg's here. Welcome, Sean. I do want to say
our meme master. Our meme master.
I do want to say, someone was talking
Glad
about.
to see you, Sean.
Oh gosh, I don't remember what the comment was, but it made me think back to what our earlier conversation was about, not rushing through the degrees. If you really, catechism aside, turning in an education presentation aside, if you look at the actual work that is detailed in the EA degree and the Fellowcraft degree, and if someone was actually, if a lodge actually had a program to, or some kind of curriculum to guide someone through that, you would not have to worry about slowing down, because it would take quite a while. Like the what I mean by that is the EA degree. If you look at really what the EA degree is trying to get everybody to do, you're basically getting rid of any bad habits or any vices or anything that might prevent you or distract you from becoming the man you should be, right? And so before you actually learn anything, you have to prepare yourself, and that's what the EA is about. The Fellowcraft list, I mean, you're looking at your classical liberal arts.
Man, you're talking about
classical education. Yeah, I mean that's you can dedicate
that's a real education if you take it seriously.
Yeah.
Adam, thank you for your email. You'll be on the spreadsheet as well. Thank you. And if you're unlucky, we'll choose you to be on one of our live podcasts.
Yes. I'm looking at the comments here. Sean is apparently going to. Sean Rothberg is apparently going to confer an EA degree on the 10th. So
nice.
That's pretty cool.
Congratulations. That's an awesome feeling. The EA, when you do that, it's really one of the easier ones to confer, right?
Yeah.
But
I gotta take care of kids. You keep
go ahead. It's really cool to to cut your teeth on that degree. That's when I did that the first time, man. I was so worried and so worried and so worried, and the degree came off perfect. And so kudos to you, Sean. You know, we need to do that. And once you do that one, it'll build your confidence up, and then you'll be ready to do the rest of them. And it's just as easy for the second. The third one, it's a little bit tougher, but of course, you know that already. But man, that's exciting. That's going to be a great confidence builder for you. When I was and see, this is part of what we're talking about here. When I was master of the lodge, I made a decision that I would confer every degree that went through my lodge while I was master. That was my job. So the what we were talking about earlier is, as far as, you know, learning. Well, we're still talking about it. The lessons that we're learning through Freemasonry, you know, that comes with those different stages of learning and being able to do those things. Being able to confer the degree is a whole lot different than being able to just spit out the words.
Yeah.
And so there's definite positive growth in that. And when you do that as a master, and you know, I don't know if you're past master or not, Sean. I can't remember.
No, he's not.
But I didn't think so. But as you do that as a master in your lodge, you confer your own degrees. You get a little bit of respect from your brothers, and a little more respect from your brothers for taking that on and making sure and doing that. And not only that, but it really kind of sets the tone for the lodge. You're saying, look, I'm taking my job seriously. I think you should take yours seriously as well.
Yep.
You're being a good leader at that point, because it's follow the leader instead of, you know, follow into a dark hole of hell because nobody knows what's going on.
Damon Patterson over on Facebook says you can't rush knowledge, and it's absolutely true.
Oh,
you absolutely cannot rush it.
You'll never get more than what you're capable of understanding anyways.
I agree.
So you might as well just take it as it comes and just continue to try to learn.
Got a question. He says, odd question. Could a group of EAs confer the EA degree on an incoming class of EAs? You couldn't.
No,
you couldn't
the master has to confer.
Yeah, you couldn't do it with solely EAs because there's a specific number of masters you have to have. Could an EA participate in an EA degree? Of course, yeah. But yeah, certain positions. At least for opening and closing, have to be done with the master.
Well, and I don't think that even the senior warden spot should be done by EA. I don't think because they're not in that position to teach that lesson.
I don't disagree.
They're, you know, that's I see what you're saying, and yeah, you absolutely can to a certain degree, but there are certain people that need to be masters, in my opinion.
James says, knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit, and wisdom is knowing not to put your tomato in a fruit salad. Don't put your EAs in positions they're not ready for.
Look at you, James.
Look at that.
Look at you. Golly. Make me feel stupid.
It's all those tacos, man. It improves your cognitive ability.
Yeah.
You're just spitting out wisdom over here.
It just somehow ferments in the brain, and that's awesome. But that's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. Knowing what goes where, and you know, that's what you're learning is the ingredients of the fruit salad.
So knowledge is knowing that yes, an EA could theoretically probably be a warden or possibly even do something else, right? But wisdom is knowing that's not where he needs to be. Really, honestly, an EA needs to be on the sideline watching a degree.
Yes.
Because for me as an EA, watching people go through it reinforced everything that I've learned. Everything I was
and it actually sparked in my brain the opportunity to think about the words that were being said and start formulating questions in my mind as to what was really meant behind those words.
Sean Rothberg
just by
by
listening instead of.
And expertise is knowing that tomato sauce goes great with fries. Who puts tomato sauce on their fries?
Ooh, I do.
You put tomato sauce on your fries?
Well, sure. You just add a little sugar if you need it.
talking about ketchup.
That's what ketchup is tomato sauce.
No.
With a lot of sugar.
It's totally different.
And now corn syrup.
No.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. I agree.
It's not different. It's tomatoes. Tomatoes.
Catsup. It's catsup, not ketchup. I agree. These people are making me nauseous. I'm glad this is a Masonic. I'm glad this is Masonic.
I'm getting hungry.
Show.
I know.
All right. Well, it's getting close to that 2-hour point. So it's getting late.
Very nice. How many people do we still have here?
We're looking at 17 right now. We've had 87 total come and go. I do want to say a few things real quick before we wrap up. If you haven't liked the episode yet, the live stream, please pop us a like. I'm also going to repost the link for our membership program. If you want access to any ad-free content, because like I said, every episode gets uploaded to the members only ad-free, and it also gives you access to exclusive content. It also will give you access to discounts in the future, as well as secret squirrel first-hand information before other people know about it. Definitely check out the membership program.
Like the big one coming up?
Like the big thing coming up, you're going to know about it first. And there will be perks for you as a member. And so definitely check it out. Be mindful of it. It doesn't cost a whole lot to be a member. And if you listen to Masonic Improvement often, the benefits quickly outweigh the costs. So definitely check that out. Anything you want to say, Dennis? He said, knowing that it was a silly question.
I'm so, brothers, first of all, Happy New Year. First off, Happy New Year. We've been very blessed this year with Masonic Improvement. Personally, it's been a tough year this last year. Personally, but through Masonic Improvement, we've been very blessed, and we've grown exponentially. We plan to continue. We've had our planning meeting, and we plan to continue. We have some great, exciting things coming up. But our focus is still on you. So we have swag, we have memberships, we have a big event that we're gonna mention here soon.
Huge.
It's
gonna be huge. Also, I'll point out real quick before everyone starts dipping out. If you don't subscribe to us, I do appreciate all the likes. But if you don't subscribe to us, please also consider doing that, hitting that subscribe button. That would also be huge.
So, but what I was going to get to is with all these cool things going on, we're just saying what you're thinking, and we'll take the bullet for you. That's all right. But the main thing is that we both started doing this. Justin a little before but we both started doing this for the same reason. That, that we personally felt like we weren't getting everything that Freemasonry had to offer at some point, and we wanted to offer a little bit more for our brothers out there, and offer an opportunity for other people outside of the community to see that we have some of the same discussions about our organization that other organizations have, and we do have secrets. That's a fact, and we're very serious about those. But we're not so far out there that they can't be obtained by our audience, by our non-Masonic audience. It's not like Freemasonry is not available if you really want it. But you have to look for it. You have to look for it, not just ask us. You have to look for it.
I also, while I'm thinking about it, we made an attempt at doing a members only Zoom. It kind of flopped. I suspect because it was a few days before Christmas.
Wah, wah, wah.
But so we'll be doing another members only Zoom here in the future. So again, if you are a member and if you're still listening, be sure you messaged us with your email, because we'll be sending the information directly to you. Let's see what else we got.
And if you feel like you're on an island, please let us know. We're here to help you find if you're a Mason, a master Mason, and you feel like you're on an island, that you're in a place where it's sink or swim. We'll help you swim, so just get a hold of us.
Mats is saying on the 3rd at Perfect Union, there's going to be a short lecture on the Swedish Rite. Did you know about that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
that's their lodge night.
Oh, got you. That'd be pretty cool.
But I'm going to be there every other day that week.
Seth also says, as we wrap up...
Mats, stop saying that crap. I'm busy.
He also Seth says there are lodges that put people in the master seat when they're not ready. Man, Seth, I was just having this conversation with Dennis earlier today. Like, I am dealing with that right now.
That should not happen.
It should not happen. And yeah. I think lodges get excited when they see a potential petition, and they rush the guy through, and they're excited to have someone else in leadership. Yep, they're excited to work up through the seats, and that happens too.
So that they don't have to show up. Yep. People get tired, and so they push people through for the wrong reasons, and that's when the lodges fail, guys. It's when the lodges fail.
Yep.
We have to persevere.
All right. Good talk, everybody. Thank you all for popping in.
Mats, we'll see you on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Stop pushing for Wednesday.
All right. Take care, everybody. See y'all next time.
Keep it between the points, brothers.